This is a tutorial for microbiology chapter 2 section 2.1, and we are really looking at structure determines function. And I know you have all had chemistry. You had to have chemistry in order to register for this class, and you've talked about these in a number of your other classes. It's usually one of the first topics in most biology classes. That is because chemistry is the basis for biology. We need to understand it. So this is not something to rememorize and then forget about again. We're going to use this throughout the whole semester because the idea of knowing how the structure is set up is going to help us understand why things happen the way that they do, why a certain structure, why a certain microbe works the way that it does. And so these are really important ideas. So we're going to review that, and I really want you to think about them and incorporate them into your working knowledge so that we can use them throughout the semester. So we're going to start off talking briefly about atomic structure, just some basic understanding so we know how molecules are put together. We can start off with the simplest of the atoms, which hydrogen has one single proton, one single electron, and that electron is found, we usually say, orbiting the nucleus. The nucleus is there in the center, but really what it is doing, it is taking up all the space within this distance from the nucleus, so you wouldn't even be able to see the nucleus because it is moving so fast. It's like it's filling all of that space. So it's better to refer to it as a shell. So the electron shell. And there we can get into more details about orbitals and the levels of energy that the electrons have around nuclei. But we're just going to keep it really simple and refer to their shells. So we have in the nucleus here, this is still our hydrogen, there's our proton. And remember, protons have positive charges, electrons have a negative charge, and neutrons, which hydrogen doesn't have one, but others do, has no charge at all. So it doesn't contribute to the charge. So with a negative charge electron and a positive charge proton, then hydrogen is going to have an overall neutral charge, which most atoms have neutral charge unless we remove or add an electron. Then we're changing the balance between protons and electrons, and then we're creating ions, which do have different charges. Now the electrons are found in these shells, and so the thing to remember about shells is that they are going to start to be filled, depending on how many electrons the particular atom has, from the nearest shell to the nucleus. And that would be called the first shell. The first shell is closest to the nucleus. And that first shell can hold 2 electrons. No more. If it has more than 2 electrons, then it starts filling the next shell. So if we were looking at carbon, which has 6 protons, 6 neutrons, and those are all found in the nucleus, then it also has 6 electrons. It is electrically neutral because the electrons cancel out the protons. So we start off with 1, 2 in the first shell. That leaves 4 left, and that would be in the second shell. But the second shell can hold up to 8 electrons. And so carbon does not have a full second shell. If it did have a full second shell, then we would call it stable. A stable atom has a full outer shell. It doesn't matter how many shells it has, but the very outermost one, if it is full, then it'll be stable, which means it is not going to form any bonds with other atoms. It's going to be chemically stable, so it's not reactive. If it doesn't have a full outer electron, like carbon, it is unstable. Unstable means it will have chemical reactions. And so carbon is a reactive atom, so it's going to form chemical bonds with other atoms to make up different molecules.